Is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth worth it? Is this the game that we dreamed of, or is it a flop? Let's answer that question. Obviously, spoilers, it is definitely worth it. But let's talk about why it's worth it. Let's hit the gameplay, the graphics, story. We'll keep it light. I do want to keep the spoilers light, but just kind of give you an overview. Following the events of Final Fantasy VII Remake, Cloud and the gang are outside of Midgar. Finally, you get to explore the rest of the world. And boy, is it beautiful. We'll get back into that though in a little bit. In case you were wondering, this game so far has done really well. It is a major milestone in this project, in my opinion. And I think what has been created in this game is going to stand the test of time and possibly lead to Part 3 being one of the best games ever made, if they do everything right. But that's just conjecture. We'll see if it actually holds up to it. The game has a graphics mode and a performance mode. On the graphics mode, it runs at 4K dynamically with 30 frames per second. While in performance mode, it runs at 60 frames per second and it has a 1080p output, resolution wise. Now, if you're playing this, I would suggest trying out graphics mode. It does look very beautiful, but if you're used to 60 frames per second, it is going to take a while to adjust. And I really believed that I couldn't adjust to it, but I actually did adjust to it after a while. But once you leave it and play something else that's 60 frames per second, you will notice it again. You'll have to readjust. Most of the footage that I'm showing is running in the performance mode because I really wanted to show the 60 frames per second. It just feels cleaner in a video, but I could be wrong. Let me know if you agree or if you don't. Besides that, the game's actual visuals and its art design, very beautiful. The character models are unbelievably beautiful. They are really up-res compared to Final Fantasy VII Remake. I was watching a video recently and just talking about someone like Barrett and how much his face changed. It's crazy. Or like how much is dedicated to just Cloud's hair looking beautiful and how many polygons, that's the word. So it is a beautiful looking game, and again, the art design is amazing. Some of these places, some of these areas will take your breath away just walking around and taking in the environment. But besides that, the combat moves, all the special moves, very beautiful, very flared up. You will enjoy looking at this game. So let's get into the gameplay, the meat and potatoes. Well, I love the adjustments to the combat system. I do believe that this is as close to perfection as an action RPG game like a Final Fantasy type can get to. The addition of the perfect parry and the synergy abilities, beautiful. I can't say enough good things about it, but it feels really fluid. They changed the dodge for example, for Cloud to his advanced dodge from the Final Fantasy VII Remake. I forgot what it was called, but I remember you had to add it to him. It wasn't his regular roll. So they just decided to just put it. They got smart and they knew, hey, we need to do this. This flows better. But besides that, the perfect parry again is a great addition to the game, and it makes things a lot more exciting and a lot more fair. There's a lot less cheese than there was in Final Fantasy VII Remake. No. There is still a lot of cheese, but at least if you're good enough, you do have the ability to mitigate the cheese. So it can be really fun to get into deep combat in this game. And since we have two new characters, Yuffie and Red 13, the game expands itself. It's amazing. Now, the other side of it are the minigames and the exploration of the world. It's a big world. I could use a little bit more to do in the actual world, but exploration is really fun. It's fluid. It could improve itself a little bit, especially with things like climbing and stuff like that. But overall, pretty fun to do and really fun to explore the world and to see just what not Midgar, but what Gaia, is that what we call it? What's the name of this planet? Well, the planet has to offer. Now, the last part of gameplay. We all know it. You've probably heard about it already. We're talking about mini games. Yes, this game is full of mini games, and it can be frustrating at times. However, most of them are optional. Most of them you do not really have to delve deeply into them, but there are some that you do need to do in order to get more of a completion of the game, maybe get a little bit more of the side story that's going on, the B plot. But they did add a patch recently that allows you to change the difficulty of the mini games so that it's not as frustrating as it was day one. So go into this game knowing that there are going to be mini games. They really went all out with mini games. Some of them are really well made, I'm not gonna deny that, but they can get on your nerves if you're not trying to do that. And beyond that, it can lead to a bit of a disturbance of the flow of the game. And what I mean by that is you might want to complete more of the side quests that are presented to you right away, that include a lot of mini games, and before you know it, you have hours into the mini game world or the side quest world. And what ends up happening is that the flow of the story can kind of get a little, I don't know, thrown off would be my best way to describe it. And I felt it. I felt a time where I had to just say, hey, you know, no more side stuff. I have to go do story because I haven't done any story in a while and I miss it. I feel like I'm just doing things just for the sake of doing it. And that's not fun. I mean, it's fun to do the mini games, but it's not fun to feel like that with a game that's so story based as Final Fantasy VII. So you kind of have to find your own balance of not keeping yourself doing too many mini games and too many side quests and losing the plot, so to say. So if you have issues with that, I could understand that. I personally found a middle ground where I decided certain things I just wasn't going to do until later on. Mainly the card game for me, even though it's an amazing card game. Queen's Blood is amazing. However, at one point there was so much of it that I just decided, hey, I'm going to continue the story. I want to know what's happening, and I want to stay in the flow and invested in the story. So, leading into the next part, let's talk about the story. What do I think about the story? Well, I loved it. I really loved the story. I mean, oh, what a surprise. There are things that could have been done better, in my opinion, but I do think the story does a good job of building these characters that we started with in Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VII Remake, and just making them more believable as a team. Team building is everything in this game, in my opinion, and the way that they flow off of each other, the way they riff on each other. Cloud opens up more, he becomes more of a character. He's not just the stoic cool guy that he's trying to be in Remake, but he's more of a, you know, he's cracking jokes with other characters, they're cracking back at him, he's opening up more, and it's just great character development. If you liked where they were going with Remake's character development, you're definitely gonna love how deeply they go into creating this story that is very based on these characters interacting with themselves and the others. I really love the presentation of Shinra. It was awesome. You'll find out what's going on there. And when it comes to story changes, there's a problem that a lot of people have with this whole project, and I understand. And it is the changes, all the changes, the things that weren't in the originals. And my stance on it is that I am enjoying it a lot. I know how the purists feel, and in some ways I'm a purist. Yes, of course, we all wanted that one-to-one remake, beautiful next-gen graphics. But as I started seeing more of the compilation of Final Fantasy VII grow, I started really realizing that I wanted to see more of this world. It wasn't just about the story and about it being perfect, but it was about these characters and the world. I really wanted to be in this world, and I wanted to explore it more. I wanted to hear more stories about it, and this game does a great job of creating more narratives within this world that don't really disturb the original game. And that is something that I was excited about. Adding Roche like they did in Remake, I had no problem. I know a lot of people couldn't stand him. I personally love him. I think he's a great character, a great addition, and I like seeing stuff like that where he doesn't disturb the story, doesn't disturb any of the main beats, but he adds on, like he adds on to the lore. It's interesting to see, oh, there's still soldier members that are capable. It's not just these random dudes that you fight and your party can beat and there's nothing else to it, you know? So it is a pleasant welcome to me to see more of this story expand the way it has in Rebirth. And I think if you have an open mind, you will definitely enjoy it. Going off of that, let's continue into the sound design. Now the sound design of this game is, in my opinion, a 10 out of 10. Beautifully dynamic music covers this entire game. Anytime you're in the world map, which is huge, the open world, you're going fluidly from the theme into the battle theme. I mean, I can't even explain how beautiful it is. It's just something you have to hear and experience.
You're mine. You had your chance. Brace yourself.
I think I'm all warmed up.
And the more you hear it, the more you enjoy it. And listen, I'm a big fan of the Final Fantasy VII battle theme. I wanted to hear it so much in this game. Originally, I was like, yeah, I gotta hear it all the time. But you know what? It won me over. Hearing these amazing remixes of the main theme and variations of it for the world map, I fell in love. I mean, I got addicted. And of course, you're still going to hear the battle theme in certain situations and stuff like that, and in story situations. But everything that they add to this game, musically and sound-wise, is amazing. The sound effects, of course, crunchy. Feels good to hit enemies and to hear that sound when the sword's hitting. Everything sounds great. Everything's on point. I'd say give it a shot. Check it out. Here's some of the OSTs. And just get ready to just have your ears just filled with beauty. And yeah, to sum it all up, this is an awesome game. I definitely enjoyed my time with it. I am currently playing through hard mode. And I personally believe that hard mode might be the way to play it. As sadistic as that sounds, it might be the best way to play it. But I'll let you know more about that later. In conclusion, fun game, amazing music, graphics are awesome, could be a little better, could get that 4K up to 60 frames per second. That would be lovely. Maybe in the future we get that. Gameplay wise, amazing. This combat system will keep you engaged. It will keep you wanting to play it and play it and play it. And I would highly suggest, if you get your hands on it and you know you're not going to go into debt to get a PS5, go ahead, grab it, play it, try it. This is a beautiful game. It is definitely one of the games no, but seriously, it is probably one of the better AAA games that have come out recently. You know, we've been seeing a lot of failures, and there are a lot of good ones out there, but this is, if you're a fan, grab this. Don't miss out on this. Don't let anyone spoil the game for you. It's not worth it. If you're a fan, do not let yourself be spoiled. Play that game before anyone spoils it. And that's basically it. If you want to hear more, let me know in the comments. If I was annoying and I have a bad take, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all. Till next time, I hope you enjoy your life and this wonderful game. Peace.